I believe this is your favorite president, right? Obama.
You know what's crazy? TR at one point he was, but once I became aware in 2010, I completely walked away from that. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Um, I gotta say this too because this is what I don't like. Because a lot of people, I mean, and we got some new viewers, and so most people don't realize that, or maybe they didn't know this, but I used to be a hardcore liberal. I vote, and I'll put it out there because I know a lot of people do not put this out there, but I vote. I was born, raised liberal, and I shouldn't say raised liberal, but it was just assumed I was liberal or Democrat, and then so voted for what's her face, Hillary Clinton, and then voted for Biden. And then it wasn't until after this election I realized Biden, the Democratic Party, were just scam artists. They lied to black people. They just say whatever they need to say to black people. 2024, fast forward, voting for Trump. And I have never looked back. I've never regretted my vote. And I understand that voting has consequences. So, because of some of the things that occurred leading up to Trump's victory, I admit it. I was a part of it because I voted for these people. I thought these were the best candidates. And, we're talking about Obama. I voted for Obama twice. And when you look back on it, what did Obama really do for black people? And I don't think he did anything, but he was never asked any tough questions to what he was going to do for the black community. That's the crazy part. I was like, oh, like Trump, when leading up to his election, he was always asked about January 6th. He was always asked, was the election stolen in 2020? A bunch of dumbass questions. But Obama never received any of these questions. We never asked him or requested or required him to do anything for black people. And so that should have been the wake up moment that the Democrats were full of shit for me. But unfortunately, I was still kind of still sleeping. But when it comes to like just having this conversation, I feel like, you know, we, I feel like if I could do it again, my vote would have went somewhere else. It would not went to Obama, unfortunately.
I have a story similar to TR's, but
Yeah,
what I
COVID
will,
too.
yeah, what I will call out, and we have to be mindful of this, TR, the Dems used to be, they went too far to the left for me. That's ultimately what drove me away. A lot
They're
of the
still
Dems,
going too far.
yeah, but at one point when I was growing up, they were centrists. A lot of them were centrists. A
Yeah.
lot of them were still, they had, political bosses are kind of stupid to me because when you talk to people, they'll they're liberal on some things and they're conservative on some things. I'm
Hmm.
conservative on the family and guns. I'm liberal on recycling. I think it should be mandatory and enforced. But that's one of my extreme liberal stances. But I had the same story as TR. And when I started to question why people were voting the way they were voting, the answer I got more often than not was because my parents did it and because my parents expect me to.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't good enough for me. I started doing my own research. I consider myself an independent right now. I vote red when it makes sense. I vote blue when it makes sense. And I'm telling y'all right now, lately, blue ain't been making a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least not at the federal level. Locally, there's still some solid ones, but federally, nah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And so we're gonna see some of the things that when it comes to Obama, the other thing that Obama doesn't, we give Obama a pass on. We don't give any other man a pass on this, any other president, even Clinton, is that Michelle Obama was almost like she was almost second in command in some cases. Like she was so front facing. I think maybe some people appreciate that, maybe some people wanted that, but I'm at that point where I'm like, no, we saw what happened with Jill Biden. We saw what happened with Hillary Clinton, and more so with Michelle. But those are the two of the people that were like a little bit too front facing. It's like, what are y'all doing? Like, why can't y'all just be the first lady and just talk about just I don't know, charm school. I don't know what they would do, but I don't remember hearing anything about Jackie Kennedy or I guess I'm trying to think of another famous, first lady that people like adored, but wasn't always on the front lines of things. And there's plenty out there, I
Well, the
assume.
Just Say No and the Dare campaigns, you could
Oh yeah,
argue,
Nancy Reagan.
yeah, it came from
Yes.
Nancy Reagan. Michelle Obama actually, because every first lady takes on some type of initiative. I don't know what Trump's wife is taking on, honestly, but I know Michelle Obama was focused on healthier food in schools, which you would think everybody would get behind. But we've talked about her a lot lately, TR, and she's had some anti-family rhetoric, like a lot
Yeah.
of it. And family is
Well,
the most important thing to me, so that's always gonna turn me up.
well, not to mention we can't forget. I'm never gonna let her forget this. Well, not that she cares what I think, but when she tried during for Kamala Harris campaign, try to convince women to go against their husbands,
Right.
and then also, say that your husband's rage is what's going to be pushed onto you if we don't get a woman. Or I'm paraphrasing, but she says something about rage and your husband's rage going against you because you don't vote right. Like, that's just completely terrible messaging. Obama said terrible messages as well, to the infamous, I'm gonna get Michelle, and you guys are lucky that Michelle's not here. Nigga, you lucky Michelle's not here.
Right. She
Like,
runs your life, not mine.
yeah, she runs your life. She runs your household. She runs your kids. Like, don't be
Here,
talking to us like we worried about it.
here's where I will be fair, TR, because anybody who doesn't agree with this statement, I think you're not paying attention. She's a big reason why he won twice. If he would have been married to any other woman, it probably.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive about
All
that.
right, good. Lay
She
the
completely
foundation down.
she completely galvanized and motivated all these black women to get to the polls and encouraged other people to get to the polls. There were people who were more excited about who he had as a wife than who he was as a candidate.
Yeah,
I know many of those.
that's true. Yeah, no, I'll give you some points to that one, because there were a lot of people. Because yeah, you're right. Because people kept talking about Michelle. I'm like, she ain't even she ain't the man. I mean, I know some people might think there's some different things, but she ain't him. Obama is the guy they should be worried about, or not worried about, but who they should really be excited for. But again, like you said, you're right. People were excited just because it was Michelle, though. So, but let's get this video. Whoops. Let's get this video going, because Obama, he can't stay out of he can't stay quiet. He's got to say some crazy shit.
That's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need, is not just exposure to one guy.
Mhm. One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be
like,
everything.
he can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was, I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly
Yes.
gay folks still weren't outlawed, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy, and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that
Well, and
to
it's-
show empathy and kindness. And by the way,
Yeah.
you need that person
Yeah.
in your friend group, so that if you then have a boy who's
Yeah.
gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right. So that, I think, is creating that community. I know
Yeah.
it's corny, but
And
that's what they need.
and we talk a lot about what
I think that was the whole thing. That was the whole list, right? Of the whole clip.
That's more than enough.
Yeah. Shit.
TR.
You can handle that one first.
I'm gonna tread very carefully here, because anybody who knows me knows I call them the big four. There are four groups of people where, if you want a podcast or you want to enter spaces like this, you kind of have to be careful in how you criticize them. Women, LGBT, Jewish folks.
Yeah, Brando. He said that. He said that.
And Chinese people. That being said, this is terrible, terrible advice. Because you're specifically saying that you should mentor someone based on sexual orientation. He didn't mention the fatherless trend going on in the country right now.
Right.
And let me be clear, this is not just a black issue anymore. The number of fathers outside of the home is spreading to other communities as well. That should be the most important issue. And then Obama said, well, you got to bring in people
Facts.
to give you, and I was going to get to that, Brando. If this is grooming, they can't reproduce, they can't have kids, so the only way they can continue their ideologies is if they put it in the classroom agenda, mentor, and push this agenda that they all have. Because
Yeah.
Either you believe that they were born that way or it was a choice. I personally believe that anything we do sexually is a choice. So none of that stuff makes sense to me. I can't grasp being attracted to somebody who has the same parts as me. But what I can grasp is, why would you pick them only based on that criteria to be a mentor? Why is that so important? The only thing that we owe y'all is to show respect, as long as you're showing respect, and leave y'all alone so you can pursue life, liberty, and pursue the happiness. We don't have to give you access to our kids. You don't have to give you access to our classroom agendas and syllabi. You just don't. You just don't. The only thing I owe you is to leave you alone and let you live a peaceful life. That's it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, when I think about like when it came to like, all this identity politics, it definitely started with him. There's no doubt that it started with him. And it created this, summer of love, the whole, like we need to, white people are the devil, and then black and brown people all of a sudden had these joint, not accomplishments or requests, but they had these goals, and it's like, well, that's not true. Everyone kind of wants to do something a little bit different, and then we had the whole LGBT stuff that was going on with some of these schools and some of these organizations, NCAA, and some of the way that these Ivy League schools, how they were operating. We had a lot of people that were just going along to get along, and it's unfortunate that we let it get this far, though, because it took one president to almost like blow up the country, and we had to like get Trump back in the office, kind of reset things. Like, say what you want about the whole Epstein files, or I gotta be careful about the Epstein stuff because YouTube be acting crazy about it, the E-files. And then you got to have a discussion about you may not like how Trump is doing things with the the deporting, which I don't think I think he's doing deporting exactly how I voted for him. But when it comes to like everything else, though, it's like people are going to have these. You don't realize how big of an issue these things were until you see like Barack Obama and then the Obamas, really, and which is crazy that the Obamas ain't got no sons. So how would you know, Barack? Like you grew up during a different time. Things may have been a little bit different, though. But Barack Obama, I mean, it's like you're trying to tell men that, as they have their sons, as they raise their sons, you're telling them to like, hey, make sure they have a well diverse group. And he should have kept it there, but he went too far as usual and had to put like some more labels on it, though, because it's like, if they have a gay friend, they have a gay friend. It is what it is. It has nothing to do, raising a son. They need to have a gay friend to have a well-balanced childhood or for them to be a better man. There are plenty of men out here that have had great, childhoods and been productive members that have never had a gay friend, or maybe they didn't know they had a gay friend, or whatever the case is. They've had plenty of chance. They've been able to be productive members of society. So it's just Obama's doing their same thing again, just trying to push this rhetoric out. And it's unfortunate, though, to see how Barack went, where he first, when I first knew about Barack, and then what he is now, though. He's not going to be remembered for being a president. He's going to be remembered for all the crap and also what Michelle has done after his presidency.
So
that's another conversation, too. He didn't grow up with his dad anyways.
I'm actually glad you brought that up too, Brando, because I just posted another study from the National Institute of Health. There is a positive correlation, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. There is a positive correlation between childhood trauma and the alphabet community. They call them adverse childhood experiences, which can be a various range of things, but ultimately it starts at your childhood didn't go as it should have been. Somebody didn't protect you properly. Somebody didn't teach you properly. But I want to know how you're going to disprove something like this, because I can use anecdotal evidence. I have homosexual people in my family, and I can tell you.
This is crazy. I'm gonna get the highlighted stuff.
Yeah.
It's
so. I think that they're off track. First of all, we got to get the fathers back in the house. None of that joint custody stuff. You got to be there every day because you have a skill set that the mother does not have. You can teach things that the mother cannot teach. Women cannot tell you what a man is. They can tell you how a man should treat them, but the conversation ends there. You're not even in the realm when it comes to stuff like this. Let the men hash this out. How is bringing somebody in with that type of lifestyle going to progress the masculinity curve? Like you're only selecting someone based on their sexual orientation. You didn't mention anything about their ability to problem solve. You didn't mention anything about their ability to provide and protect, maintain, sustain, or lead, which are the traits that I consider masculine in heads of household. You didn't mention none of that stuff. You just said bring in somebody who's gay. How about you let the parents teach them about the LGBT stuff and give them real and valid information? How about you let the people in their family that live the lifestyle teach them about that information? What is your obsession with letting these outside influences get access to these children? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I you at the end of the day, MC, this is the thing, like, because we can have these conversations, and if you try to have these conversations with some different people from, especially different people, yeah, silent P, right? That's the next step. When you try to have these conversations out loud, people that lose their mind. Like I've learned to, when there are certain topics that come up, I have to like try to pull back a little, because you can't go extreme. You can't, you got to try to have like kind of a balance and try to have a conversation that invites people from, someone that doesn't think the same way you do. But when it comes to stuff like this, these people like lose their mind and they refuse to have the conversation. Like why it's okay to have drag show story hour. Like if any of these Democrats were really honest, or actually if these reporters were really honest, they would ask them that question, like, hey, do you believe men and women, men could play women's sports? Okay, you said so I don't believe that. You're never getting my vote. But when it comes to like the Democrats and the liberals, progressives, it's like they all, like, if it's Trump's on the ballot, they're gonna side with these guys no matter what. Because we got to remember, people still try to get Kamala Harris into a good portion of America did try to get Kamala Harris in the office. Good thing it didn't work out. But I mean, people like the Barack Obamas, Michelle, they ain't going anywhere. They're going to keep pushing this rhetoric, and people are going to keep falling, especially the Black community. They're going to keep falling for these conversations from Barack Obama and Michelle. And I don't know what people are going to do though, because we got a 2028 coming up, and I mean it's only 3 years away, but still though, it's like they're going to be back. They're going to be back doing the same thing over and over again. And people refuse to have this real conversation about the Democrats. And really, if the progressives win, it's going to be a whole nother series of issues, because they cannot let the AOCs, the Jasmine Crockett's, even that Zohran Madani in New York, they can't let those folks, get these high level political positions though, because they're going to plunge this country into like a former USSR, some communist nation.
I want somebody in the chat to tell me, if you agree with Obama, tell me how that would benefit a child. Because I guarantee you the answer you're going to come back to me with is teach them empathy. Why can't his mom and dad teach him empathy?
Yeah, exactly. Which
when
most of them do.
Like that, when you make a statement like that, you're implying that straight people aren't capable of showing empathy to people that aren't straight.
Yeah, that's another good point too. It's like, see, what's funny about that? They'll tell you all day, they'll tell you up and down that two gay people can have a kid, but they cannot teach, just like you said, a heterosexual couple cannot teach a kid empathy when it comes to gay people. It's like, we have plenty of those people doing stuff like that, and they don't need to go out and try to find someone or add someone to their group just because they are, they fit in some check boxes. So yeah, it's always funny how when it's time to shit on heterosexual couples or imply there's some gray areas when it comes to like learning about empathy or love or what a marriage should look like. It's always like, always negative things or just, beneath the surface. But when it comes to, gay couples, hey, it's all good. It's all great. It's always positive conversations. I'm like, that's not always true. And we've seen some conversations where I don't remember the name of the couple, but they were abusing kids. I'm not saying that's all couples, but those stories get buried a lot.
Tariq Nasheed used to do stories every week about homosexual couples that were doing that every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
But here's my other thing. The problem is, so I used to work for a known payment processing company, right? I was a manager there, and when homosexual marriage, when the Supreme Court declared it legal, they made all the managers go to a rally celebration. They made us go, and I'll never forget this. One of the things that they said, one of the VPs of finance got up there and said, "This is exactly the same thing as the Emancipation Proclamation."
Yeah.
When that statement was made, I got up and I walked out. I was like, "No, you can't have that one. Not
Yeah.
with my attention span. You can't have it. It's not the same thing." And here's my other point.
Not even close.
This ain't the '80s no more, man. Ain't nobody following y'all and committing acts of violence on y'all anymore. Everybody realizes that's stupid and that was idiotic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got. First, y'all said y'all wanted the marriage thing. Y'all got it. But here was the problem. Y'all decided to go and take another victory lap and then ask for more. You won, but then you say, no, we're going to take 3 or 4 victory laps. You're going to throw it in your face. And now we're going to start putting stuff in front of y'all kids. And that's
The parades, the schools, the sports.
That's when the people started getting sick of it and pushing back. Like, no, you didn't went too far now. And hence, you have what you have right now.
Yeah, and the July or is it June Pride Month? So they went all those companies got on board with it too. It's like y'all created your own monster, but that's on y'all. Y'all figure it out on the next cycle.
Yep, figure it out without me.
Yeah, for real. So all right, we are gonna jump to some pop culture.